Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kate Dearson, Managing Counsel of the URA, sitting in for Sushila Namani Stanger, who is unable to join us today. I'd like to welcome you to the June 11th regular meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh. Thank you for joining us. Our ASL translators today are Amy Ahern and Daniel Conley, and you'll see them pinned on the screen if you're joining us virtually on the URA YouTube channel. We do have a quorum present, and so I will now turn it over to our chairman to call the meeting to order.
Thank you. Now calling to order this meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority of the City of Pittsburgh on June 11th, 2026. Let's get roll. Representative Lindsay Powell. Here. Councilman Bob Charlin.
Here.
Councilman Daniel Lavelle online.
Here.
Mr. Sam Williamson, if he's not on, I think he plans on joining us. And Yaron Zober, that's me. That's 4 members here. We do have a quorum. Let's start with approval of the May 14th, 2026 URA regular board meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Chairman. We are now going to go to our public comment section of the meeting. We have John Bonello, Senior Data and Evaluation Specialist, who is stepping up to the podium now.
Good afternoon. My name is John Bonello. I'm a Senior Data and Evaluation Specialist in the Strategic Data and Impact Unit. I'm filling in for our Director of Government and Strategic Affairs, Catherine Murray, today for the public comment portion of our meeting. Members of the public have the opportunity to provide comment on the URA Board of Directors agenda items in person, virtually, or in writing. Registration for virtual comments are required in advance. Written comments received before the board meeting will become part of the public minutes and meeting record. We received no written comments this month. All public commenters will be permitted 3 minutes to provide comment, and I have my handy timer ready. Our first registered public commenter is Megan Hammond of Fair Housing Pittsburgh. Megan, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hold on one
Thank
second.
you.
Okay, great. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Hammond. I'm the Executive Director of the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. Let me first say that the happy waiting list opening is a wonderful announcement. Our aged housing stock has resulted in such overwhelmingly inaccessible housing for physical disabilities that while our older houses need general repairs too, there's such a specific need for accessibility modifications. A couple quick notes. I just want to say that regarding 710 North Homewood Avenue, simply as a reminder that when 4 or more residential units are attached, that the design and construction accessibility requirements of the fair housing laws apply, including if those units are on top of a commercial building use, just to be aware. Additionally, I want to keep the URA board aware of what's been happening at the federal levels and why it's so important to continue Pittsburgh's efforts about the enforceability of the fair housing laws. So that you know, for 2 years now, a community in Arkansas that accepts only residents who are white and heterosexual using an exemption in the Federal Fair Housing Act has existed with no legal challenges by either the federal government or the state government. In fact, the community's questionnaire for applicants includes asking about a person's thoughts on the Roman Empire. Only in the past month have private civil rights attorneys filed this litigation against this whites-only housing on behalf of an applicant who was denied. I raise this case simply to continue underscoring how very important it is that the enforcement and usability of the fair housing laws have become incredibly localized. And so I ask the URA to recognize its power of the purse in its role in ensuring that its funding recipients are recognizing and abiding by the city code and housing discrimination protections. Additionally, fair housing is more than simply not denying a tenancy application based on race or disability. For example, over the past decade, a lot of work has occurred on making the tenant application process more equitable, and such work is no longer happening federally. In fact, federally funded housing providers are now permitted to reinstate one-strike policies from the 90s. And so there are actions that we can continue doing at the city level to keep moving fair housing forward in 2026. I thank you all for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our second registered public commenter is Marimba Malayans from the Hill Community Development Corporations. Marimba, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you. My name is Marimba Malayans. I am calling from the Hill Community Development Corporation. I'm calling relative to first of all, thank you for your anticipated approval of the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund. There are a number of items on the agenda today. We're excited that those funds will be flowing and being ratified from the advisory board. But I'm primarily calling today because I recently came to learn that the URA is engaged in a lease with the Live Nation venue for a small business space, approximately the size of maybe a small community convenience store. It's about 1,200 square feet. And I learned that the URA is a part of that lease, is able to kind of walk away from that lease with just 60 days notice to the Live Nation venue. Now, my concern is that this community benefit at the time, I believe it was July 2021, when many of the same people on this board today voted to approve that as a community benefit for the Hill District, whilst the Hill District community having many more requests that would have been more substantial. So I was very surprised to learn that there is a 60-day kind of period at which the URA can just walk away if they are not able to sufficiently program that space. At the time, it was suggested that Catapult would program that space when it was approved, and it ultimately got endorsed, right? So all I'm saying here today is that when these types of things happen, and it wasn't disclosed to the Executive Management Committee, maybe it wasn't even shared with some of you as board members, but I am asking that you all revisit that specific item so that the URA is obligated to fulfill its responsibilities to program that space for small, preferably Black-owned community-based businesses on the Lower Hill District. It is the size of two-car garages. If we can't get partners on board to help program that space, or if the URA does not have the capacity to program that space as they committed when they secure public support, I think that should be a different conversation around how we are building capacity and able to fulfill the promises and commitments. I'm concerned that this will undermine our community's ability to continue to build trust with the Urban Redevelopment Authority and or the city of Pittsburgh. And so please revisit that specific item. And I'd like to hear back from the URA on this particular item. And I'm asking you formally to revise that part of the lease or to make some type of addendum to the lease to make sure that the URA is obligated to fulfill its commitments to the Hill District. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Marimba. Our third registered public commenter is Reverend Courtney Meadows of Central Baptist Church. Are you with us? And also go ahead and start the timer when you begin speaking.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Meadows. I serve as pastor of Central Baptist Church in the Hill District. Although I've watched many of your meetings virtually since arriving in Pittsburgh a little over a year ago, I wanted to be here present today to speak to agenda item 4B, specifically item 3, and also express gratitude for the work that makes these resources possible. I want to commend the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund Advisory Board for being a model coalition of stakeholders and for the care of which you steward these resources on behalf of the community. I would also like to offer special thanks to Brother Kirk for walking alongside us during the grant process. As someone relatively new to Pittsburgh and still learning this community, this experience was far more than submitting an application and waiting for a decision. Throughout the process, I encountered thoughtful questions, constructive feedback, and genuine concern, not only for the responsible stewardship of these funds, but also for the long-term success of the programs and organizations seeking support. The Resilient Futures after-school program builds upon Central's longstanding commitment to education, youth development, and community empowerment. Next month, we'll celebrate 135 years of ministry. For generations, we have invested in the lives of young people. Many of you may recall a time when Central operated its own academy for the education of children and youth. And today, educational enrichment and youth engagement remains central to our mission. Resilient Futures represents both a continuation of that legacy and an investment in the next generation. Through expanded programming, we hope to help young people discover their gifts and realize their potential. And so as development continues throughout Pittsburgh, it is important that our children and families in the Greater Hill District experience the benefits of that growth. Programs such as this and others help to ensure that promise of investment extends beyond buildings and infrastructure and reaches the lives of people who call this community home. So I thank you for your consideration, your leadership, and commitment to Pittsburgh and to the Hill District. Central Baptist looks forward to being a faithful partner in helping our young people and community thrive for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. At this point, we open the opportunity to speak to anyone in person in the room. Is there anyone here in person who would like to make an additional public comment? Okay, seeing none, thank you. This concludes our public comment period.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, we have a number of announcements today, and we are very excited. I get to give the first one, which is that we are welcoming our 2026 summer interns, many of whom I see sitting in the back row right now. So thank you for coming to our board meeting. Thank you for being with us this summer. We are very excited. We have Rizaldi Utomo, I'm sorry, I'm butchering names, Utomo in the real estate, GIS, and data department, Helen Catal in housing services, Thea Chen in commercial and business lending, Shaylee Wong in data and evaluation services, and Ty Grigg in tax diversion and development services. So welcome to all, and we look forward to working with you this summer. All right. For our next announcement, I'm going to invite Julia McMahon up to talk about the Lower Hill Music Venue retail space.
Hello, my name is Julia McMahon, and I am a Senior Project Manager in the Development Services Unit. The URA is seeking interested parties to lease 1,200 square feet of white box retail space located at Citizens Live at the Wiley Music Venue in the Lower Hill. The space is currently under construction and will be available for rent in November of 2026. More details about renting the space will be available on the Lower Hill section of the URA's website on Monday, June 15th, 2026. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Julia. Okay. I'll now turn it over to Chief Link.
Yeah, thanks so much. By the way, good job with Ty. I was, yeah, 'cause I mispronounced Ty's name a few times, so I was.
Goofed
I'm
the first
impressed.
one,
Anyway,
the last
yeah, good job. This next announcement is, the URA is going to release a request for qualifications, an RFQ, that will release a week from today on June 18th, for firms to provide, basic condition study services to the URA. The goal of the RFQ is to create a slate of providers to the URA, to conduct such studies, on behalf of the work that we do. The responses to that RFQ will be due on July 7th, 2026. And it'll be available on iWave, and we look forward to responses. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Maya Fuse. Talk about an RFI for some Larmer scattered sites.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maya Fuse, and I'm a project manager in the URA's Development Services Department. I'm here to announce that the URA will be issuing a request for information, or RFI, on June 22nd for scattered sites assemblages located in the Larmer neighborhood. The goal of the RFI is to identify potential developers or development teams who have demonstrated capacity and experience in producing high-quality housing. Next slide, please. There are two scattered site assemblages that make up this RFI. The first non-contiguous site includes 153 parcels containing 9.2 acres. And then next slide, please. And then the second non-contiguous site includes 101 parcels containing 6.94 acres. The RFI will be published on June 22nd on Ion Wave Technologies, the URA's RFP response system, and will close on August 24th. All information regarding this RFI will be published on the URA's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, I have a couple. So this is the second month in a row that we're doing an RFI or an RFP on city-owned or URA-owned parcels. Almost all of them vacant parcels that used to have houses on them. And some of the things that I say and I continue to say might sound a little repetitive. So if you've heard it before, you can shut me up the second time. But the more we dig into it, the more we realize how much of a crisis we have in our hands in the city of Pittsburgh and how it's really up to us collectively to solve that crisis. Governor Shapiro recently announced a housing action plan that some folks in this room have been a part of and everybody's heard about, which said that I think by 2035, this Commonwealth, we're going to be 185,000 housing units short of where we should be if we just want to continue to maintain our current population, let alone grow. 185,000, such a massive problem statewide, that it requires a massive solution or a bunch of massive solutions, including what he's proposing as a $1 billion critical infrastructure fund. Now we take that and we look at it in the context of the city of Pittsburgh, a city that at our peak, 1950 or 1960, we had 700,000 people living in our borders. And today we have 300,000 people living in our borders. Now, in the last couple of years, we've actually shown a little bit of an uptick in population. And, for folks who are not from the city of Pittsburgh, or maybe some folks who live right outside the city of Pittsburgh, they say, well, of course, who would want to live in the city of Pittsburgh? Maybe the taxes aren't great, or maybe the schools aren't great. Maybe crime is something, perceptions rather than reality. But what we're finding is when new homes are built here or new apartments are built here, then people want to live in them. The issue is that we simply don't have enough of it. The governor's recognized it. We recognize it. And particularly when we get to new home construction, for sale, single family houses, or what I like to say, like my kid when she was 6 would draw a pretty picture of a house with a door and windows and smoke coming out of the chimney and a sun, the kind of house that we all sort of think of maybe idyllically, regardless of its size. What does it mean to have a house and what does it mean to be in a neighborhood? Well, the fact is, as we dig into like the history of our city, in the last couple of years, we haven't built many of those. And by we, I don't mean the URA, I don't mean the housing authority. I mean anybody. Last year, about 50 some odd new construction permits were pulled for single family for purchase, maybe even for rent houses. So imagine that. City of 300,000, used to have 600,000, 700,000, 55 square miles, 90 neighborhoods. And there are only 50 houses that were even proposed to be built by anybody. That includes community development corporations, nonprofits, market rate developers, us as the URA, the housing authority, although there's a rental, but it still is the same idea. Who's building houses? The answer is not a lot of folks. So Mayor O'Connor sees that challenge and he says, well, if we're going to grow this city, we've got to do it in the areas where people used to live. Larmer, for example, a neighborhood that's right across the street from a lot of other great neighborhoods just like it. Homewood on one side, East Liberty, Shady Side, North Point Breeze. And we happen to own a lot of the parcels of land, the city of Pittsburgh and the URA do that where people used to live. Larmer used to have a population of about, I think a peak, about 10,000, and today has a population of about 1,500. And where they used to live, there aren't very many of the vacant houses left. There are a couple, but really it's about vacant lots. So when we ask why our schools are closing, and it's sad and it's not good. And we ask why are taxes going up? And we ask, why are some of the things happening in our neighborhoods? Why do we see vacant lots? Why are kids walking by vacant lots to school as opposed to other houses with other kids they can play with? The answer is because we haven't figured out a way to unlock our capacity to have new homes built here. But now you're looking at 2 assemblages, one of about, 10 acres, one of about 7 acres. I can't tell you today how many homes can be built there, but I can tell you that homes can be built there. And I know Councilman Charlin knows this because he's been doing a lot of the same work in his South Hills neighborhoods, because some of them, Allentown, Belts Hoover, Knoxville, is the same depopulation that has happened over time in neighborhoods like Larmer. And what we found is just talking to people who build houses, nonprofits, as well as folks who do it all around us, but not in us, And if you're just landlocked in the city of Pittsburgh, I encourage you to get in that car and drive up to Plum, amazing places like Plum. I'm being somewhat facetious because everybody thinks new construction is only happening in fancy communities like, I don't know, Cranberry or Sewickley or Mars, PA or something. But new communities are being built every day within existing communities in places like Plum and Sarver and Buffalo Township. And so our goal is to work with communities like Larmer, like the Larmer Consensus Group, other concerned citizens to say, hey, it's time for us to grow these neighborhoods again. Because when those neighborhoods grow, when we can build houses in these neighborhoods, then in Larmer, the few businesses are left can keep on selling their product. In a place like Homewood that we'll be turning to in the weeks and months to come, that means that the barbecue place, that the bakery, has more customers. That kids aren't just walking by vacant lots. But by the way, not only we're not collecting taxes on vacant lots, we also are paying to clean those vacant lots regularly. Then that becomes a neighborhood again. As Councilman Charlene likes to say, we can't have a neighborhood without neighbors. And too many of our neighborhoods don't have neighbors in them anymore, or certainly not as many as there used to be. So I really applaud the staff for putting together this RFI, an important note that I'll get to in a second, not RFP, but an RFI, so we can start to explore whether or not folks are willing to build homes in our communities. We know that working with Habitat for Humanity, and we know that working with CDCs like ELDI and Larmer Consensus Group, we'll get to build some. Every year or two, we can build 2 or 3, but in the end, it's not enough scale to get us where we need to be as a city. Let me just talk real quick about RFI versus RFP for those of you keeping track at home. We decided to move to an RFI for this, and I think we will continue to in the future, because sometimes when you have an RFP, which is a request for proposal, that can seem a little daunting to folks who are just trying to figure out if this is something they want to do. We've probably talked, Councilman Charlene and I, probably like 10, 20 home builders in the last 6 months or so, and there are a lot more out there. But when we say, hey, come in and compete for the ability to try to build something on these lots, sometimes they say, I'd rather not. I don't need to compete elsewhere. I just buy a piece of land, or I work with the community and build houses there.
Great. Thank you. All right. Thanks everyone for your patience. It looks like we're live again. And so we will turn it over to Orlando. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Orlando Akins, and I'm a HOF program coordinator of the consumer lending team. I'm here to announce the opening of the application for the Home Assistance Program for Independence. HAPPY provides qualifying homeowners with a grant up to $15,000 to support accessibility modifications for residents with physical disabilities. To qualify, the household income must be below 120% of the area median income, and a resident of the household must have a physical disability. Eligible accessibility upgrades include, but are not limited to, exterior ramps, sliding shelves, lowered kitchen counters, bathroom modifications, visual doorbells or phone signalers, chair gliders, or lifts. The application will be open on June 22nd. The link can be found on the URA's website, www.ura.org. The deadline to apply is July 31st at 5 p.m. If assistance is needed with the application, applicants can reach out to hof@ura.org or 412-255-6694. We do offer free language translation services, and our dedicated team is here to make the application accessible to all. I am happy to address any questions that you may have this time.
Not a question, but a comment. I just want to say thank you to the URA as someone who's been diligently working at the state level to bring back the whole homes program. This is exactly what we need. This is exactly what Pennsylvanians need. So thank you for standing this up at the city level.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on in our agenda to the development services portion of our meeting. Our first item is 710 North Homewood, and Gordon Hall will join us to talk about that exclusive negotiations.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, board. My name is Gordon Hall, and I'm a project manager with Development Services. Today, I'm requesting authorization to enter into a 6-month exclusive negotiations period with Generation Realty for the redevelopment of 710 North Homewood Avenue in the Homewood South neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh. At the November 2025 URA regular board meeting, I announced a request for proposals for the redevelopment of 710 North Homewood Ave and 2 adjacent parcels. This past February, the URA received 4 proposals, which were reviewed by staff with input from a review committee made up of community stakeholders. Through a proposal evaluation, interviews, presentations at community meetings, and in-depth stakeholder discussions, the URA is recommending entering into exclusive negotiations with Generation Realty or a related entity to explore its mixed-use proposal. The proposal includes 6 2-bedroom units and 2 efficiency units on the 2nd and 3rd stories, and the potential for 3 commercial ground floor spaces with a 3,200 square foot total commercial space. Preliminary total development costs are projected to be approximately $4 million. The redevelopment team is made up of Farron Mason, principal of Generational Realty, and Ryan England of City Studio. This first step in the URA's disposition process that we are requesting today is the culmination of several years of work and collaboration between the City of Pittsburgh and the Urban Redevelopment Authority. In 2023, the City of Pittsburgh administered $2 million of ARPA funds to the URA to conduct pre-development activities on 36 publicly owned properties in Homewood's business district along North Homewood Avenue. The purpose of this ARPA-funded work was to remediate blighted, publicly owned properties along the business district to lower the barrier to development by providing Homewood's business district with clean, development-ready sites assembled for future projects. This property here, 710 North Homewood Avenue, was one of the properties identified in this effort. Between 2024 and 2025, the URA conducted a structural stabilization that included a new roof, mold remediation, asbestos abatement, extensive masonry work, replacement of structural joists, waterproofing, and site grading on this property. This proposed development project is an exciting next step for Homewood's business district and a great example of the importance of targeted pre-development work to spur redevelopment in our city's main streets and neighborhoods. I just want to give a quick shout out to our legal department as well as our architecture and engineering department for helping me throughout this whole project. It was a pleasure working with you guys and excited for this next step. Farron Mason, the developer on this project, is also joining us today on Zoom. I will allow him to say a few words and then we're happy to take questions and comments. Thanks.
Mr. Mason, are you with us?
I hope he didn't get, I know he was on, he may have gotten bumped during the tech issues, so.
That's okay. I mean, I think if somebody wants to reach out to him, once,
Sure.
you know, we can wrap this, I assume that we can vote on it. And then, if you want to reach out to him, if he wants to say a few words
Sure.
after we vote, is that okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Any comments, questions?
Just quickly, could you speak to Megan Hammond's comments in public, in the public commentary?
So Megan Hammond's comments, was that about accessibility?
Yeah.
So this project is in its very initial proposal phase. So any type of layout regarding architecture and design can be, you know, reconsidered and rethought. At this time, the commercial spaces on the first floor would be ADA accessible. I do not believe the 2nd and 3rd stories would be ADA accessible, but that's, you know, more has to do with just the layout and retrofitting of an old building, you know, and maximizing its square footage. But, you know, this is just a proposal, so we haven't actually gone through the design phase yet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, concern? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you.
Very much. And if you want to reach out to him and we can bring him back on if he has some words to share. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. The next item in development services is going to be presented by Julia McMahon. Welcome.
Hello again, Julia McMahon, Senior Project Manager, Development Services Unit. The Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund is a community-driven fund created as a result of the Lower Hill Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Program. It provides funding for development projects and other community needs throughout the entire Greater Hill District. The Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund Advisory Board establishes an annual allocation plan and guidelines for reinvestment fund supported programs and provides recommendations to the URA for funding, to the URA board, pardon me. The Children, Youth, and Education Initiatives Programs provides grants to up to $25,000 to support community-based organizations providing educational activities and experiences. The Workforce Development Initiatives Program provides grants up to $30,000 to support initiatives that prepare individuals for sustainable employment. On June 1st, 2026, the Advisory Board recommended a total of $75,000 in Children, Youth, and Education Initiative Programs expenditures and $30,000 in Workforce Development Initiative Program expenditures. And Kirk Holdbrook, the Project Manager Consultant for the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, is going to talk about the projects.
Thank you, Julia. Good afternoon, URA Board, URA leadership, and URA staff. My name is Kirk Holbrook, and I'm the project manager for the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund. The 4 projects that are before you today continue the momentum that we've been building to serve the Hill District beyond bricks and mortar development, also looking at wrapping our arms around the community and people of the community. One of those projects is the ACH Clear Pathways Creative Camp. ACH Clear Pathways is a homegrown community-based organization that has done tremendous work over a decade within the community. The second program is the Citizen Science Labs Pipeline Initiative and Community Program Project. That was a mouthful. As you guys know, Citizen Science Lab has opened a new MLK Science Lab in the Hill District on Heron Ave. So this is great that we're able to support some of their programming that's taking place. The next program is the Resilient Futures After School Program. I think when you heard Pastor Meadows speak, you could hear his passion about continuing to rejuvenate and revitalize Central Baptist's long history of serving the community through academics. And lastly, we have another Workforce Development Initiative program that is being supported and ran by ACH Clear Pathways, which will help young teens in the community learn creative technology and other type of skills through a series of programming. With your hopeful authorization of these 4 projects, they will be added to a package of 15 projects that have been supported in the last 6 months through the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, totaling over $1.2 million. Over the summer months, the advisory board will be working diligently to do a postmortem on this process. It was a pilot, so some of the things worked well, some things need refined. But we also get to see the most exciting part of our support is these projects coming together in real time, seeing some development happening and seeing young people taking part in these projects. So this was the slide I should have been speaking to, and I apologize for that. But Jonathan, we can move to the next slide and the next slide, I'm sorry. Apologies, board. And as always, I want to end just by pointing out the great work of our advisory board, which is led by, co-chaired, by Council President Lavelle and Marimba Lyons, and also has the members that you see on the screen before you. Without their hard work and dedication, none of this would have been able to happen. So again, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next up.
Great. Thank you. So we have one more item in development services for today, and we're going to welcome Donita Thomas to the mic to talk about the Mellon Square storefronts.
Good afternoon, URA Board and members of the public. My name is Donita Thomas, President of Pittsburgh Economic and Industrial Development Corporation, a URA nonprofit affiliate focused on commercial redevelopment. Today, I'm here seeking authorization to enter into a professional services agreement with Indivina Associates Architects or related entity for related consulting services and engineering services for Mellon Square storefronts up to $110,000. At the January 2026 regular URA board meeting, I announced the request for proposals for Mellon Square garage retail feasibility and related architecture and engineering services. The URA received an overwhelming 19 proposals. URA Development Services, architecture and engineering personnel thoroughly reviewed all 19 proposals. Indivina's proposal stood out to all of us amongst the crowd. Indivina will analyze and determine the feasibility for the development of a new concept and activation of multiple retail spaces at the ground and upper levels of the existing Mellon Square structure. The result of this effort will be a feasibility study that includes realistic and actionable concepts for building out the space to reach its full potential and engage park visitors. Thank you to Richard King Mellon Foundation for providing the grant that made this study possible. Elizabeth Ray and Dario McPhee of Indivina Associates are here today to say a few words and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Johnita. Good afternoon. My name is Elle Ray with Indivina Associates. And just on behalf of our entire team, I want to express how excited we are about the opportunity to work on this unique and, really one of a kind projects and places in Pittsburgh. And we're excited to work with all of you in just a collaborative process to really understand what it means to activate this important just retail frontage and how it connects with the upper as plaza space and how to enhance the use of both spaces as a whole. And so our goal is to really activate this plaza that has, all this weight and energy behind it, and to create a place that also respects its history. And so we appreciate as the confidence has been placed in us, and we're eager to start work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, anything? I have a couple, just a couple, I promise this time. I'll probably cut out midway through, depending on the time. First of all, I want to thank Indivina Associates for agreeing to work on this. I want to thank all the staff for working on this too. I want to thank RK Mellon for funding this, and just a little bit about why this is happening. I mean, just like Mayor O'Connor goes through a neighborhood and says, why are these vacant lots here? What can we do on them? He does the same thing with every neighborhood, including downtown. And this was something that he knew of this for many years, but early on saying, how do we solve problems? And he's a real problem solving kind of person. And so he looks at something like this that's in the heart of our downtown, in a street, and we only have so many downtown streets, really. And this is one that, sometimes looks most worn or the most in need of care. And this is a whole city block that we, as a public group, the URA Parking Authority and Parks Conservancy, that we own, and we're not really great stewards of. A little bit of the history of this, not too much history, but I think one of the reasons that RK Mellon funded this is that what I didn't know until learning it was that Richard King Mellon himself was one of the lead champions of the entire Mellon Square Park. I can't remember if it was in the 50s or something. It was patterned off of, and I think the original architect might have even been the same architect as Rockefeller Plaza in New York. The idea is that this was going to be a true center for people to get together and have events and have and perhaps enjoy a coffee or a cocktail or some lunch or dinner. And some of those plans came to fruition, and over time, some of those fell by the wayside. So our idea and the mayor's idea is to bring it back to its original luster, to make sure that it's not just activated on the Smithfield Street side as it has been on and off, but also to activate year round the plaza itself, which, as it is, if without activation, there's really nobody going there for a specific purpose. And sometimes it can be ill used by folks who want to do something that might not be the thing that folks want to see happen anywhere, let alone in downtown Pittsburgh. So the dream is, can we find a restaurateur? Can we find an operator who will put something that will activate the retail on Smithfield and also activate retail connected in some way to the plaza above in a kind of two-tier fashion, whether it's an elevator or some other way to easily get from tier 1 to tier 2 and truly take something that was intended to be a Pittsburgh gem and make it that way again. So thank you so much for volunteering your efforts, or not so much volunteering, but joining the fight to transform this place. And hopefully we'll get good results. Do you know what the timeline is for your studies?
I don't. We're still working through the actual schedule, but yeah, hopefully we'll just be moving on it shortly. So
Okay.
excited about the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, a question. I know we're explicitly looking at the storefronts, but do you have within your scope to look at the green space as well and how it interplays with the storefronts?
So we are looking at a potential intervention on the upper plaza as well. So it's more geared toward the end of the plaza that's over top of the retail space.
Yeah.
So we'll just be taking a look at that as part of this process and exploratory.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll be looking at the entire plaza.
Who's responsible for that green space?
The Parks Conservancy. So the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy has a project this year that they just got funding for to touch up the park and beautify it a little bit and fix up the stairs, and that we work done adjacent to what we're doing. We're not actually touching like the physical park space,
Right.
Because that's overreach of what we're in charge of. So, but we will be looking at how our space interacts with their space and the best ways to connect the two.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, concerns? There being none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, that motion passes. Thank you.
Great. That wraps up our development services portion of the agenda. We are moving on to our housing portion of the agenda and welcoming Jared Clayton to discuss Belts Hoover for sale development.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Clayton. I'm a residential lending analyst at the URA. I'm here today seeking authorization to enter into a for-sale development program grant agreement with Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation in an amount of up to $100,000 for the rehabilitation of 244 East Warrington Avenue in the Bells Hoover neighborhood, 18th Ward. Next slide, please. The approximately 1,200 square foot home includes 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with 2 flex spaces, a full basement, and a garage. The renovated home will be sold to income qualified buyer earning 80% of Pittsburgh's area median income or less. The anticipated sales price is $210,000 with a required 20-year affordability period. The total development cost for the project is $290,621. The proposed funding source for this grant of $100,000 is CDBG funds. The renovation is estimated to take 120 days to complete with a project completion goal of Q4 in 2026. This FSP funding, along with the stabilization and energy efficiency grants, will continue PHDC's affordable construction initiative in the Bells Hoover neighborhood and support ongoing efforts to reduce vacancy, strengthen the residential corridor, stabilize surrounding properties, and create high-quality, affordable home ownership opportunities that help build generational wealth. Justin Belton from PHDC is here with us today. I'd like to say a few words, and then we'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Good afternoon, board and attendees. I'm Justin Belton. I'm the manager of housing development for the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. While a modest home, this project represents the culmination of the ideas and efforts of grassroots community organizers, governmental agencies, nonprofit organizations, and financial institutions that had a vision for what they wanted to see in their community and put in the hard work to make it happen. This particular unit was owned by the city, identified by the Belts Hoover Consensus Group, acquired, cleared of liens, and stabilized by the Pittsburgh Land Bank, optimized for energy efficiency by E3 Pittsburgh, and lent construction financing by Landmarks Community Capital Corporation. This will be the 7th similar home to be completed over the past 2 years in Belts Hoover. Projects like this signal that we see value in communities that suffer from chronic disinvestment. It energizes community groups to continue to advance efforts on their own. It energizes neighbors to improve their own properties. And it signals to the private market and financial institutions that these are efforts they can take pride in investing alongside of. Thank you all for our partners and to the board for your consideration today in this project.
Questions, comments? Thank you so much for all your work. There being no motion to approve.
So moved.
And second. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Great. We are now moving on to the consent agenda portion of our meeting. The consent agenda will be posted for consideration.
We don't have to approve that, right?
You do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion, any questions, comments on the consent agenda? There being none, motion to approve
So moved.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. And that's, and
turn.
that's my turn. That concludes our meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, just, I mean, like,